Have you ever wondered why, even if you are given the same material, people you call the A-list people, I mean the scholars, and you are given extra time, extra days, and maybe more comprehensive materials, they wish to do better than you? And then you tell me, oh, they are all geniuses, they were all born geniuses. Let me tell you, most scholars or most A-list students were not born geniuses, yes. If you put down 10 scholars, I can categorically tell you that maybe one or two of them were naturally born geniuses, maybe from their parents they inherited that, or maybe God just said, okay, that's a talent. Most of the geniuses, most of the early students, they are not born geniuses. And once they are born geniuses, you will know them. That people that used to have maybe little to no effort, they used to have little to no effort to study. That's what I say, okay, they were born geniuses. The secret is that you use different study methods. Studying is not just studying. It's not just to carry book and to read. No, studying is different from studying. You just carry book and read. First, what studying? Studying is a deliberate and intentional art of understanding, practicing, focusing on what you are reading or what you read. It's a deliberate act of you understanding what you are reading. And we have two types of studying. We have what we call the active studying and the passive studying, in which most of the time, let me say all the time, most of the time, or maybe all the time, you use the passive studying. According to the name, passive. The passive studying is kind of studying you do. It's a type of study whereby you are not fully engaged into the material. You're not fully involved into the material. This is kind of studying you do when you have it in mind that, okay, I just want to read to pass the exam, or just want to read, just you're not reading to fully understand what you're reading. You're just reading for the exam or just to read it for reading. Kind of study that you carry a book, use your eyes, turn it, then you summarize. Maybe some of you carry on that book as you want to summarize that book. You not jot it inside that book. Then you notice that when you read the first topic, it feels like it has entered. Now, when you now read the second topic, you now feel like the first topic ran away. That's because you're using a what we call reading, passive reading courses. Passive reading courses, no retention, no understanding. Succeed academically, the kind of study method you need is what we call the active study method. According to the name, you are fully engaged and active in what you're reading. You're not just reading, this is not kind of reading, you're just reading for passing sake. You are reading because you want to know it, because you want the studying to be part of you, because you want it to not just only for exam, reading so you will understand, so you have full knowledge of what you are reading. Now these are the active, this is how you go about the active studying method. Imagine you trying to read this book as a passive reader. You are a passive reader now. I'm very sure the first thing you will do about this book is to just carry the book and you open it and you start reading. Or even maybe some of you even just carry the book, check how many pages, and start admitting, hey, this book is 5 pages, this book is 10 pages. That's not how to study. There's something we call the SQ3R study method. SQ3R study method is an acronym of how to study, in which the S start for survey. If you want to read, you just carry a book and just read. You survey what you want to read. You understand the content first before you read. Now the S stands for survey, the S survey, the Q is question, the R is read, the second R, because I said SQ3Rs, so that means SQRRR. So we have survey, we have question, we have read, we have recite, and we have review. Most of the time, you just skip one of the first two, you skip survey and question, and you go to read straight. That's how to read. Now for the survey, before you read, you have knowledge of what you want to read. You just carry a book and just read. Now this book is titled Theories of Counseling and Psychotherapy. If you want to read this book, books like this, you just carry a book and read. You open the book, flip it open. You don't have knowledge of on what it's talking about. If it's possible, you can even maybe ask ChatGPT, because life is now easier. Ask ChatGPT on what you want to read in that topic. I think most of the time, books like this, they're very, very complicated. Because I'll tell you that in this book, when I read this book, as I read this book, they've never given me one real definition of what theories of counseling is. They never give. They'll say, oh, according to this person, he said, this person now went against this person. This person, at the end of the story, at the end of the book, you won't understand what the book is. You don't understand what the definition is, what the book is all about. So you have to survey, you have to have knowledge on what the book is about. Theories of counseling. I know, okay, this book, I'll be saying theories on how to, theories of counseling on how to go through my counseling sections. This is what this book is about. So you have to have knowledge on what you want to talk. That's what we call the survey. You just carry a book. That even make the work easier because when you have a back knowledge on what you want to say, it will make the talking and the reading easier. Now the next one, which is the Q, means question. Don't just carry a book and read. Question yourself. Oh, by the end of this book, what do I want? You have to read with purpose. By the end of this book, I want to know. Oh, I want to know. And this book has, I think, over 30 theories. I want to know at least 20 of those theories. If it's a topic, okay, by the end of this book, I want to know the definition of this thing. I want to know the types, the whatsoever is inside that subheading. You write it down. You question. You have your question in mind. Oh, this is what I want. Oh, this is by the end of this what I want. You question yourself. You turn the subheadings and headings into question. This helps you to give your reading a purpose and direction. You don't just read. It helps you, okay, this is what I want to read. This is what I want to gain at the end of this reading. The next one is you read. Let me tell you, if you want to read, you open your mind. Yes, I know. I know that, okay, reading might be hard, but it's not hard as you think. I'm not going to lie to you. You have to open your mind if you are reading. You have to tell yourself that this thing, I must know it. You have to find meaningful meaning to what you're reading. You don't just read. You read carefully. You read to your own understanding. You don't have to say what is written in the book word for word. You read it the way you will understand. This is not doing lakram lapo. This is not secondary school that, okay, you have to give the lecturer gives you. No, what the lecturer gave you. No, you're not giving the lecturer what the lecturer gave you. You are giving the lecturer what you know. If they give you this thing and this is how you know it, you go that way. For example, if what I've read is, what that book is, psychology study of human behavior or mental processes. And what me understand is that psychology study of animal and human behavior. Definitely. So when you try to read according to what is written in that book, that's what the problem is. You want to read word for word. No. Most of the time you don't read word for word. That okay, maybe they are in, I think maybe steps or they have categories that that's the word for word. And when it comes to definition, when it comes to this, when it comes to that, you don't read word for word. You read to what you can understand. Even if the grammar there is big, there's a big grammar into that book. You find a dictionary or you Google it, it's something smaller that you can remember. When you remember something small, it helps you that is more. You read according to what you can understand and how you understand it. You want to read. You're not in secondary school again that you have to read what? No. Close that book. After reading one or two times, close that book and explain to yourself. You tell yourself what you've read. It doesn't have to be word for word as far as you are getting it. And let me tell you the easiest way to read for yourself. If you want to read, you break your reading time down. For example, I want to read this book, and this book says theories of counseling. If I want to read this book, I will go straight to theories of counseling. I first understand what theories, what counseling is. When you understand words that are two words, when you understand the definitions that are two words like that, you read them from the first definition to the second definition. When you get to exam, you know how to match them together. So after the read is recite. You have to recite what you've read. Close that book. And some people say they actually understand more when they rewrite what they've read. Rewrite it. Rewrite everything you know. What you don't know, leave that part. Go again. Go again. Rewrite what you've read. What you understand by it in your own words. In your own words. And if you are fortunate that okay, you understand word for word, definitely, but you write it in your own words. Long, maybe steps, maybe categories, maybe types. You find acronyms for them, abbreviations. If it's that, oh, you remember them by the first two words, find meaning. You remember them by the first letters, find abbreviation. Look for something that is easier for you, that will make things way more easier for you. The next one is you review. After you've read everything you want to read, you go back again and review it. Yes, you have to. You after read, you still make me see one or two things you want to add. Yes, you review. Although you might say, "Oh, this thing is too hard." It's just that if it's me, I'll just carry a book and read all these steps. It's not necessary. Let me say it's very necessary. Although you might look at it, okay, it's long, and it's not long.